In general, the first 2 months or 6 months is like, let's get strong on Google, right? So because I can get you bookings.
But you have a very interesting business who actually works with people that are my client.
And I'm making friends, right? So some of those people have been working with us a long time. And so we've been evolving.
Welcome to Table for 30, the podcast where we talk about groups, group dining, events, event venues, etc. And today is joining me Andrea from SEO for Restaurants, currently sitting in Italy, but also to be found in Australia. Welcome, Andrea. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and your business?
Hey, Thomas. Hello. Andrea Bondanza here. I'm currently in Milan, where I'm born. And yes, I've been living in different places in the past few years, mainly Australia and Italy. And I have an agency, digital agency called SEO for Restaurants, as you can see, that is specializing in SEO and digital marketing services for restaurants and hospitality businesses. Thank you so much, Thomas, to have me here. And this is my first online podcast. I have to say that. You're the first one that's been inviting me, so that's a privilege. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's so. I mean, we know each other from before, but and on this podcast, I mainly talk to either restaurants or people in the MICE industry section of the whole travel business, venues, restaurants, and the MICE industry. So, but you have a very interesting business who actually works with people that are my clients, and that's why I thought it was interesting and a little bit more different than what I would normally invite on the podcast, because you're an expert of helping restaurants get diners, which is also what my business groupmenus.com is doing. So I thought that it would be cool to have a conversation around what restaurants can do to drive more revenue, to get more clients, because I do see that a lot of restaurants have a lot of opportunity to improve their business, at least online. And why don't you share a little bit about your experience in this regards?
Yes, so I've been doing digital marketing for, I would say, like more than 15 years at this stage, working in different industries. And I relocated in Australia 2019. And basically, the first few years, I've been working for different like digital agencies. But then, myself being Italian and loving food, and because like the Italian culture is really focused on, quality, especially quality food, I started working with a few restaurants, like some of the restaurants that I work with, especially Melbourne. Also, we're expanding in Sydney, Brisbane, in Australia, right? And I'm making friends, right? So some of those people have been working with us a long time. And so we've been evolving, we've been seeing evolving the industry in the past few years, especially in Australia, but also like now I got a team in Italy. So actually getting like a few clients in Italy. And so the whole idea is helping restaurants to get more bookings and to get more phone calls. And then as you can see, like from our selling proposition, we increase like 40% revenues on average for our clients in a 12-month span. First of all, today's economy is a little bit complex. So the search mainly happens online, right? A classic example that I make when I start talking with potential like clients is like, so have you ever tried to look for a restaurant when you're in a different city? Let's say you visit Milan, or I can go to Helsinki or to Berlin or to Sydney, to Melbourne, cities that are really famous and they have a lot of tourists, right? You don't know where to go, right? So what do? You search on the map. And so you start searching for, let's say, Italian restaurant, if you feel like Italian, Indian, or you can write, for example, tacos, if you're looking for Mexican, or eventually you can look for a local cuisine. So For example, you can go to Spain and looking for like a Spanish restaurant, right? So, and then the process of search goes through different, touch points, I would say. Before it was just like Google, but now, it's really important to have a presence over different platforms. So people usually looks at the reviews, especially the score. How high is your score on the map? And restaurants that got like an higher score, typically I would say 4.8 on Google, 4.9. They're really high ratings. So those restaurants they're gonna step up, I would say. They're gonna have a better exposure on the map, and people are gonna start clicking, right? So let's say I do Italian restaurant. I'm in Berlin. I'll start looking at that. Second step, usually people start looking at reviews, right? Are they real reviews? Are they fake reviews? And then slowly they look at pictures. They can look at your menu, and then they start choosing, right? So it is really important for restaurants today to have a presence online. And the higher you are on Google, if you are top one, second or third position in general, you get a lot of bookings because you got more exposure and more visibility. And then if you want, we can start talking about branding, Thomas.
That's good. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about the road that people take to find a place to eat, and I recognize this journey myself. There's a lot of things we can talk about here, so let's see where we can start. There's one, and I'm just gonna shoot what comes on top of my head. One of the things when I'm looking for a restaurant is pictures. You mentioned pictures. Yes, I definitely look for ratings. If there's anything below 4, it's generally, I don't consider it. But if I find a restaurant which has decent ratings, 4.5 or more, but they have very poor pictures, and I want to see pictures of the space, not just pictures of food. This is something that I see in group menus, the business, that a lot of restaurants have pictures like these very zoomed in, beautiful, delicate pictures of food. And while that is important, for me, I really want to see the restaurant, I want to see the atmosphere. And I feel that a lot of restaurants don't put that out. So I guess in your opinion, like what do you think about that comment about pictures being important?
Pictures and the visual presence is so important. It is one of the most important elements today. The biggest platforms are for sure Instagram. TikTok is really popular, especially for younger generations. I would say, like, when you say Instagram is visual, a lot of people still search on Facebook, especially the old generation. But mainly when it comes to visual, it is Instagram and TikTok. They are the top platforms, right? So pictures, yes, mainly Instagram. Now you can add pictures on TikTok, but TikTok is mainly like video focused. And there are two different strategies that you should have. You should use on different platforms. Instagram can be more like direct communication, while TikTok is attention grabbing. So you probably saw people dancing or big parties in restaurants. They work really well because the attention span is really low and probably lower for younger generations on TikTok. But I would definitely recommend to have nice pictures and nice videos. For example, in the service offering now in Melbourne, we have a video editor and video professional who goes to restaurants, so we can actually build a strategy that supports Google. But in general, what happens with social media, you got vanity metrics. So I got, for the case, I don't want to say the name, but in Melbourne, there's a famous restaurant. By the way, it's a guy, a similar name to me, that comes from the north of Italy, and he has millions of views. So one of those videos is making a tiramisu, and then just serving that from a carry, like the, how do you call it? When you make a house, you use
a wheelbarrow. With the wheel, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wheelbarrow. And the videos, some other people made those kind of videos in the US, and he replicated that, and he got like so many millions of views. But on Monday, like one of my friends went to his restaurant, and they're using like an app, and they give like 35% discount. So our restaurant that is so popular on Instagram needs to do discount, because if you do 37 discounts, you're basically not making any profit. Because then we need to talk about the profit margin in this industry that is really low.
Yeah.
What drives bookings and conversions? It is still Google. Then, of course, AI is picking up. So some people search on ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, mainly ChatGPT and Perplexity. So still, the AI presence is important. It's growing 10% every year. But today, as usual, Google is the lion, right? So it's the most strong platform where you can get bookings. So when we talk about, like, the 40% increase in bookings in 12 months on average, it can't be just Google, right? So it is website optimization, Google Maps, Google Ads, search campaigns for the first few months, retargeting campaign, creating the audience, plus eventually starting following the most important days of the year. Father's Day, Mother's Day, in Melbourne's Cup, F1, tennis. Every city has different events, and then you can start targeting all of those. For example, now is the 15th of Jan, and St. Valentine's is in more or less 1 month, right? So for all the restaurants, we're preparing different strategies because we want to fill up tables for St. Valentine's Day. So you follow all the main events of the year, but the most important thing is how a restaurant can stand up in these crowded markets. And it comes to branding.
Yeah, you really went through a lot of stuff here very sort of briefly, because when we talk about marketing in general, or restaurants and specifics here, we have several buckets. And what I feel, and this might be wrong or it might be right, or it depends, but it feels like you have either restaurants who are doing no marketing. It's like, we are open, people will come, or they expect foot traffic, or I don't know, like, oh, I'm a chef and I'm such a good chef, so of course people will come, which isn't the case. Or they, I don't know, expect word of mouth before you've done something. And then you have a bucket of many restaurants who I see here in the Baltic states where I'm based. They are all in on influencers now, inviting influencers to create a bucket, to create buzz. Sorry, so that's sort of like influencers, which are kind of part of the social media, right? The TikToks, the Instagrams, the YouTubes, the videos, these type of things. You mentioned Facebook, which is also social media, and then of course you have the Google, the website, the search traffic in itself, and then you have the AI. Then you have all the Google My Business part, which I guess relates to the maps, right, and the reviews. So what would be, maybe let's do it like this. If someone opens up a restaurant,
yeah,
where should they start, or where could you help them get the business? Like, would you start a sort of like a spray and pray and test and see what works? Or would you start one place and then grow it from there? Like, maybe take us through, if a new restaurant came to you and say, hey, we're opening up in 2 months. Help us get customers.
So first of all, build a nice website. A nice, well, SEO optimized website. That means you don't build a site first and then you come to me and I need to do keyword research, edit the keywords, change the structure, change the aesthetics. This is like a problem that is common not just to this industry, but to all the industries, right? Graphic designers, they don't really understand ranking and positioning on Google, okay? So they might do like a good job, like, the website can look good, but I would definitely say consider SEO, that is search engine optimization, check considering inserting the right keywords when you build a site, okay? If you want to step back before the site, we should talk about branding. Okay, so what is your restaurant about? What is your selling proposition in the market? Are you different from others? I can give you an example, right? So one of our clients here in Milan is a Sicilian restaurant. It's called Couscous, and is a Trapanese restaurant. So Trapani is a different city from Palermo, from Catania, from Agrigento, different cities in Italy, right? And it's specializing in couscous. And couscous is a Tunisian plate that, because, Sicily's been conquered and dominated by, French and Arabic and Spanish, we have this beautiful island with different cultures and different kind of cuisine. So the first idea was how do we position the site? How do we differentiate the Sicilian restaurant from the other Sicilian restaurants? Is it like Porta Lodi? So basically it's really close to Porta Romana here in Milan. And now we got the Olympic Games coming in from the 6th to the 22nd. So it's Cortina. So it's really lucky because it's not in the super touristic area, but it's close where the games are going to happen. So our strategy started with, okay, so first 6 months, we optimize and then we get ready for tourists to come. Then we can talk about what kind of clients EU wants, because that's also, tourists are not all the time good clients, good customers for restaurant owners. But the whole point is differentiation. So I always invite my customers to think about what they're good at, what's your best plate, and if you have something that other restaurants they don't offer, let's do that. Let's try to push that. For example, in Melbourne, my friend Andrea Piccolino, he does the pasta in a pizza bowl. So now the pasta in a pizza bowl is start becoming kind of popular on social. But the idea is in Melbourne, there's probably him and eventually another restaurant that does it. So we try to push this plate. I mean, it's not really authentic for us. But in general, it's you cook the pizza dough, right, in a bowl, right? So the pizza, you create this pizza bowl, and then you put the pasta inside. So it's highly carb plate, I would say. But it's really popular in Australia. It works really well. And then, Italian cuisine is not 100% authentic in every place of the world. But that's another interesting topic we can talk later. And so what are you good at? Are you the best ramen in the city? Do you cook the best curry in the city? Let's talk about that. And then once you identify your branding, right? So what you're good at, why your restaurant is unique or different from the others, then we can start building everything. The website, the optimization, Google Maps, and also we post weekly with optimized posts, including NIPs, internal links, directional links, and some technical stuff that work really well for posting. And then in general, the first 2 months or 6 months is let's get strong on Google, right? So because I can get you bookings. The problem with them is oh, I just want to go and I want to make money straight away. So especially in the restaurant industry, they can't wait. Because so do you prefer to do just SEO, or you want to also allocate some budget to Google Ads, for example? In a city like Milan that is competitive, even with 300 euros, so we're talking about 10 euro a day, 10 to 15, we can still be competitive. There are, of course, bigger brands that can spend 20, 30, 40 euro a day. But, a small restaurant can't afford to do that because you need to pay rent, you need to pay the accountant, you need to pay taxes, you need to pay food. And of course, you're not as, when you get your food from the distributor, you're not as big as the chains. The chains can have better prices than you, right? So if you don't differentiate yourself and you say, oh, that's great, I'm the best chef, my nonna cooked the best meatball pasta ever, I'm gonna be successful, that's not the case. Also because it's not just a competitive market, but you need to be a really good accountant. You need to make sure that every dollar that you spend is well spent. That's in every business, right, Thomas? We know that because we're entrepreneurs. But in general, that's really hard. The passion is not enough. The passion is not enough, and a lot of brands that are successful at this stage, they have capitals. Another example, Turin, has been for probably 100 years, a factory city, people working at Fiat. Now slowly the factories closing factories and stuff. So a lot of people go, oh, I got 50,000, 80,000 euros after 20 years of working in the factory. What should I do? I open a restaurant. So in Turin, there'd be hundreds of restaurants open. And everyone's oh yeah, because I like restaurants, I can cook, and I think my food is the best, I'm going to be successful. That's not the case. In this industry, it's really important to make the right investments. And it's not because you're the best chef that you're going to be successful in the industry.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been working. I also own a DMC, destination management company here in the Baltic states, for 21 years. So I've been working with restaurants for 21 years, and
I didn't know that, Thomas, by the way. So I thought like there was a fresh project. So that's cool.
yeah, but it's so I've eaten in a lot of restaurants. A lot of them has come and gone. Some chefs or owners open, close, or expand into more ones. And I have this feeling that people that open restaurants are either a passionate chef who can cook absolutely amazing food and really knows what they're doing, or it is someone who's like, oh, it would be cool to have a restaurant. I have some extra money. Or just would be great to have a place to hang out with my friend. That seems to be a thing as well. And I'm not even sure where I was going with this, but in general, I guess there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of passion, but not always business acumen or understanding of what goes into actually running a successful business. And here's the thing that I've ran into so many things, and I don't know if this is a Baltic thing or if this is a general thing, but I've heard this thing so many times, and that is, oh, we are so exclusive, we do not need groups, which is what I provide. Oh, no, we don't want groups, we are exclusive. Or, no, we don't want more customers. We are happy with having some tables because we are so exclusive. It's important to have the right clientele. And, 12 months later, there's a for rent sign in the window.
Yeah.
I understand that you want something exclusive now. Okay, here we have Michelin stars everywhere and people want those. They still need to make money. You still need to have a business acumen. You still need, if you do not get money in, your restaurant's not going to be around for 12 months.
If you have investments, as I was saying before, you can. So, but that's the difference. Like, so the story that's being told is like, you have a passion, you're a good chef, you can be successful. You love ice cream or you love gelato, you can open like a gelato and become like Grom. That is like one of the most successful like brands now in Italy. They definitely had investors. Even if the first shop is successful, how do you open from the Turin? You open the second location in Milan, the third location in Rome, and then like after 24 months you're international, you open Abu Dhabi. You need millions of dollars to do it, right?
Yeah. So let's see, how can we help restaurants last more than 6 to 12 months? So you mentioned a whole range of strategies here. Like, I mean, it ultimately comes down to money as well, because if you're going to do marketing, it's going to cost money. Either they do it themselves, they hire you, someone else, whatever. There are multiple things. I'm assuming you can do little and it will have some effect. You can do a lot and it will have more effect, right? I mean,
it's a local business, Thomas. So you should expand in the local area, and you need to be able to buy. I call it real estate, but it's positioning in the market. So let's say if competitors are spending money on Google Ads and they got more presence than you, and like they got like a bigger budget than you, they're gonna be seen more, right? If they have a better review or they've been there for a longer time, Google is gonna show them better and more on the map than you. So you're a new business, right? After you think about branding, then you need to start looking at what are the smartest way of monetizing quick. Because the expenses, the rent, food, you need to pay them every day. If you don't cook enough food, it stays in the fridge. Who's gonna pay for it, right?
Yeah.
But then we come back to the other really interesting point. Restaurant business is sexy.
Yes.
Everyone would like to have a restaurant because you go to the restaurant, it's like, oh, I had a beautiful experience, it was so cool, I want my restaurants. So many friends and customers been talking with, they've been buying restaurants for like probably half or like a quarter of the investment. We're talking about like someone that, oh, I got $1 million. Yeah, 1 year after you lost that $1 million. And eventually I know people that can buy that business for 300, 400, 600,000. You know why? Because it's better for you. It's the same thing as renting, right? So would you buy a property, or do you think it's better to rent for like 30 years? It's a choice, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a good investment. If you have a beautiful place in a good location and you want to live in that place, sometimes it's definitely not a good investment, right? But the problem is that the restaurant industry is sexy. It's like club restaurants and all these places. Like people would love to be, part of this. I love eating with restaurant owners or with chefs. Probably possibly the next stage, because I have a podcast. So the actual podcast is called Dining Room Stories in Melbourne. We started 2 years ago, and we had the pleasure of interviewing some of the best chefs and people in the industry. They gave us a chance because we were no one. And then, slowly we're building relationships, and we love that. We love to build connection. And it's not just sexy industry, it is also a really competitive and gossipy industry because it's local. Everyone knows about the others. I can work with some people, but if I work with some people, I'm not going to be able to work with others because there's competition, right? So I like gossip. I love the gossip.
Let me ask your opinion about one thing. One
Yeah.
thing that I see a lot of restaurants here do, and I assume it happens other places as well. I mean, when I talk about restaurants, I'm generally speaking from my experience in Vilnius, Riga, and Tallinn. That's where I have my 21 years of experience. Obviously, I visited restaurants all around the world. I mean, me and you being hanging out in Thailand and in London and different places. So we met around the world. I also used to live in Australia. But the thing that makes me wonder, and I want to hear your opinion on it as a marketer who specializes in restaurant. Many restaurants, they don't have website, but they might have on their card or their ads or printed material. They might have, let's say a restaurant is called Restaurant X. So you have restaurantx.com and you tap it into your keyboard. You want to go and check their website. And when you go to that website, it redirects to a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion about that as a redirecting your domain to a Facebook page versus having your own website?
I think having a website is mandatory because that's the only property that you actually own. So Google Maps can change tomorrow. They can, ban you. Facebook can change the algorithm tomorrow. You're going to be excluded. So you don't own that property. You don't own that audience. You don't own that traffic, right? The website is the only thing that you actually own. That's why what I say to all my clients is like, I'm going to work on your site. You're going to get better ranking. You're going to get more exposure, more clicks, more bookings, and then it's going to stay on you. If you want to work with me, if you don't want to work with me, I'm also really clear on that side. When I set up properties, I just give the properties to my clients. They're free to do whatever they want. But yeah, website for sure, it's really important. Do not redirect to Facebook. I mean, eventually 5 or 10 years ago will probably make sense, but I would definitely create your own property because you own that, right? So why you should use third-party services that can change the algorithm or the mind, whatever, and just exclude it? You work hard, right? Every day you building your presence. You try to, you work. People that work 15, 16 hours a day in restaurants, right? It's a tough business. So
Yeah.
own your properties, own your restaurants, own your brand, and you see that slowly you're gonna be successful. Also because business doesn't explode overnight. Yeah, sometimes it does. There's some restaurants been really lucky that you were mentioning influencer marketing. Yes. The Briatore Pizzeria here in Milan, they cook the pizza floating and whatever. There was a girl, she just posted 3 videos in her life. The one went viral. I'm not sure why. And she became famous, right? And that the exposure for that restaurant was massive, right? Some TikTokers have been really good at that, but are you good on the camera? You want to start dancing? So what works on TikTok is replicating what already works. So the TikTok algorithm works in a way that if you do something that is already working, you replicate a similar video, especially when it's trendy, it works. But like some videos are complex, like the video productions now for like TikTok. You can do it if you're really good on the camera, if you want to put yourself in there. It's like it's percentage of people that become successful. There are probably like 120 or 150 million restaurants in the world. How many of those are famous?
Yeah, exactly. But well, I agree with you on the sentiment on the website. I mean, that's why I asked. That I assume we had the same opinion, and clearly we did. I think it is. I mean, I also have a marketing background, SEO background, and obviously been working with that as well. I mean, that's why my travel business became successful 21 years ago. I was literally an SEO and marketer who started in travel and didn't know a damn shit about travel and tourism. I was sitting in meeting with airlines and hotels. And I had no idea what they're talking about. I thought an airline was an airline and a hotel room was a hotel room and a restaurant was a restaurant. I mean, speaking of which, my first group I ever had, this is a bit of a digression, but I thinking about it today, and I almost pee my pants. We had our first group, and we have sold the program for these and these prices, and we're going to go eat in this restaurant and that restaurant. And we thought that it was, so we made this program, but we hadn't made any bookings to any restaurants. We thought we could just show up and say, hey, we are, and this was less than 30 people, but I would say it was 27, 28 people, 25, 28 people. And we just showed up in restaurants and say, hey, here we are, 25 people, give us a room and give us food. And oh my God, I can't believe, to show up. And this was a Friday night. Can you believe? Lucky for us, they had one private room that was available. But that could be such a disaster. Anyway, that was just a digression on the restaurant story. Let's try to finish off this.
Yeah, but I like that, Thomas. So, for example, like one of the biggest changes that I found in Milan, I could just go around and just get in whatever restaurant. Now, like on Friday, you call 3, 4 restaurants, 5 restaurants that are on top on Perplexity, ChatGPT, or Google. They're full booked. It's not like they got more exposure and actually full booked. Then, are those the best restaurants that deserve those positions? I'm not sure. Do they work with the best marketer? That's possible. If you need a good marketer, of course, you can collaborate with us. But before you wrap up, I love the groups that in Australia is called like functions in general, or events, but mainly functions. Most of the restaurants we work with, and if they have space, but even for 30, 40 seaters, we can actually book some functions, small function, 10, 15. But if it's a big restaurant, like if they got like 100, 200 spots and eventually 1 or 2 rooms, the functions, like they're really profitable for them. No menu a la carte. And then it's like, so 50 people coming in, I don't know, 50 euro, could be like 80 Australian, 40 Australian, whatever it is, like different 35, 45, 65, whatever it is. It works really well because you got the kitchen that is working just for a set menu, a few variations, good profits. You book like 4 functions a month, you pay already for the marketing for the whole year.
Yeah, right. I mean,
it's a brainer, especially if
this is why I don't understand why restaurants or some restaurants have such an aversion towards groups, because my groups, like my average ticket price or price per head that my typical group pays for in my DMC, the average order is usually between 80 and 100 euros per head.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's more expensive in the Balkan. Sorry,
Baltics. Yeah.
hold
And
on.
but you know, many, I mean, I'm working with business groups. I'm not working with Polish bus tourists. I'm working with, you know, the IBMs of the world and the, I don't know, whatever banks of the world and the tech companies and the pharma companies and whatever. And they are budgets like anything from 70 to 150 euro per person. And you bring 30, 40, 50 people, that's not nothing. And then some of them say, no, we want, I understand you shouldn't close down your restaurant completely. You want to have it open for everyone. But a lot of people, they go, two friends go and eat, they maybe have a glass of wine, maybe, you know, have maybe a main course and maybe a dessert. And they might pay, you know, 50 per head. And I can bring you people that pay 100.
But they're also like sometimes, for example, tourists. All right, let's talk about a little bit of Italianity. So we need to distinguish, like, you know, low, medium, and high tier restaurants. So medium, high tier, of course, higher price, better dishes. Especially for my culture, I could say there's a story behind that, right? And in Italy, they ate when, like, it's like, oh, have you read the menu? No, they come in and it's like, can I have a pizza and lasagna? And it was like, this restaurant is actually a specializing restaurant, they're doing something different. So for them, it's like attracting the right clientele. You can do through audiences, but in general, you need the right communication, right? But sometimes people, you know, just they're in their area and they come in. Also, we should also talk about like the fake Italian restaurants. There's so many restaurants that are not authentic Italian. And also one of my clients at the moment, Orazio, he has a project called Real Italian Restaurants, where we verify that all the restaurants have like ownership, food, and made products, Italian products. Because, for example, a lot of like restaurants, they say they're Italian, they're not. So also from a consumer perspective, like how do you find an authentic restaurant or someone that actually cook authentic food? And that's like a big problem, right? So, and then it comes to how can you actually get the right customer that you deserve?
Yeah.
It takes time. In my opinion, it takes time. But also you shouldn't refuse all the ones that you know, groups or bigger groups. But for example, like sometimes, you know, you got like a family that come in and they just get one dish and they don't even drink. Especially young generations that don't drink. It's like, in that case, for sure, if you are a high-end restaurant and it takes like 1 or 2 hours to actually serve food, because you go there, you talk about the story, you provide an experience, then of course you can make profit if they don't spend enough. But also there are some other restaurants where you got 1 or 2 or 3 seats during the evening. Of course, they're more profitable, but sometimes the experience is not the best. Talking with chefs, they say, so food can be average. I mean, to me, it's like food is really important. But what people will remember is the experience. So focus on the experience and the hospitality, because hospitality business, it's based on hospitality. So be a good host and people will come back and write good reviews.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. I wanted to ask you a last question, but now I have to ask you too. So, because I forgot about the first one and I remember about it now when you said reviews. Can we talk about reviews for a second and the importance of it, and how can, because reviews are super important, be it Google reviews, being TripAdvisor, be it whichever all of these platforms there are. How can a restaurant get more reviews, and how can they get better review? Because I assume there's a process that you can help them, or at least they should do. Talked about reviews.
Yes, we usually print like a QR code that can sit near the counter, can be put on the different tables, and then there are different technologies that you can use to filter the reviews. So you can send them to a landing page where that it simulates Google like page or something similar, so they can actually choose the number of stars they want to allocate. And then if it's more than 4 or 5, it just goes straight to Google. If it's less, usually there's a process to actually have a conversation with the restaurant. This way, some restaurants are able to get more higher reviews, but you can't control when people go on the, for example, TripAdvisor or directly on Google, and they actually want to write a bad review. In general, we are humans, right? So sometimes we fuck up, or sometimes the experience is not as good as, but not because of our responsibility. And so it's so important to reply to reviews in a really nice way. So because people are gonna read the bad reviews. In a normal balance, like an established restaurant might have hundreds or thousands of reviews. It's impossible that you get all of them positive. You can fake them out. In the past, it was easier to create fake reviews. Now Google is getting more smart, also TripAdvisor and the other platforms. So reply to reviews in a nice way, explain what happened, because people would understand, right? And that's part of the visual part. Like, people are going to look at pictures, the picture that you put on your Instagram, eventually videos on TikTok, and also on your Google. They read the number, the stars on the different platform, but they read the reviews, they check the bad reviews, and they also look how you reply. Another recommendation I can say is, like, when Google scrape the Google Maps, it can't see the difference between reviews by customers and reply by owner. So you can insert keywords within your reply that also will help you if you want to be the best pizza, best pasta. Well, thanks. It was a great experience for you to come in here, and you had the best pasta, and because we have the best Italian restaurant, these are blah blah blah. So that's also like a trick that can help ranking.
I did not know that. I learned something new today. Well, that's cheeky, but that's smart. That's cool. All right. Well, you kind of actually really nice fitted into my sort of last question here that I wanted to ask you, and that was, can we try to make an order of importance of marketing that a restaurant should do? I think we agree on the website is number one.
Branding first. I would say branding is number one, but so the hardest communication is like, so all right, so let's go back, 40% increase in 12 months, okay? It's complex. There are like different elements that should be added to the marketing strategy, okay? But if I start talking about branding as first, there might be some confusion. But in general, branding is number one, followed by website, Google Maps, and local SEO. Google Maps and the website are connected. I didn't even go into technical schema, FAQs, whatever. Let's keep it at these backlinks. That's more like nerdy stuff.
Yeah. Now let's keep it a little bit higher level here. Yeah.
And then, of course, images, Instagram, and eventually TikTok. When you got all of these, you basically, where people search for a restaurant that is optimized, has a good branding, good communication, and good pictures, images, and videos, they're gonna choose you. But it's complex. It's not easy. But when you hit all these targets, your restaurant is gonna keep being full every day. And you will see established restaurants that don't do marketing. 2 years ago, they might be impacted, and it was really hard for you to get in, because the element that you were saying before, exclusivity, it still works. And it works for established restaurants. But some restaurants that have been successful 20 years ago, if they would open today, they would fail. But because they're established and people use, humans, we like repetitive. We like to repeat experiences. So we might go to the same restaurant a few times until we had a bad experience. And so you can create that exclusivity. But for example, Francois in South Yarra, that is like a really famous French restaurant. I've been there the other day. Until possibly like a year, it was impossible to get in without waiting 1 hour. Now you get in straight away. They don't do marketing. Other restaurants been doing marketing slowly. They're picking up.
Yeah, so that is interesting. Yeah, we have a restaurant here. I will not say any names, but here, we work with this restaurant, and I would say it's opened in just at the back of COVID, so probably 2021. And for the first 2 or 3 years, they categorically said no to groups, and they have 150 seats, maybe 140 seats.
Yeah.
And they were full. So they were full all the time. They were the talk of the town. However, now they are happy to take the groups. There are come more restaurants, more hip restaurants who are who has the attention of the influencers and whatever. So it's interesting how these things change. And now they even allow us to book 100 of those 140 seats. They allow us to book, which was unheard of. And the guy who owns the restaurant, he has 1 or 2 more restaurants, and he's been very outspoken that we don't work with these groups. We don't want that kind of things. And suddenly he's sitting there with 2 restaurants. The one, I think it has like 80 seats, and this one I talk about has like 140. And I guess, anyway, all to say, things change after a while. Yes.
Changing. Things are changing. So you need to adapt. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I would like to talk about like one of the new projects that we have. Actually, I purchased BellaCiao.ai. So I went to India for like my first conference. It was a trialogue, thanks to my friend Ravi in Chandigarh this year. And basically there was a band. That's a funny story. Right? There's a band like Punjabi. Like, he was playing all the American songs, and then he was playing some Punjabi songs because Chandigarh is in the Punjab, north of India. And then at one point they started like one Italian song, Bella Ciao. Bella Ciao now is famous. It's like a hit. It's a partisan song, by the way, connected to the Second World War. It talks about a soldier that goes to war and die. But it's like a partisan song, right? But it's so popular, so I couldn't hold myself. So I went on the stage and I sang. I started singing. It was fun. Then they asked me at least 2 times already to sing Bella Ciao, like karaoke style, like they do in Asia. It was really fun. So I was like, you know what? Now we're building like an AI agent for restaurants, so they can answer to the phone. And I was like, you should answer to the phone, but also she should be able to book. And so we need an integration with the calendar. So Bella Ciao is going to be, Bella is the agent, the AI agent, and Ciao is the booking system. Anyway, that's going to be the new project. We're testing like knowledge base and stuff with one of our clients in Brisbane. So hopefully in the next few weeks and months, it's going to be available in the market. And that's it. And for the rest, if you want to follow me, I got a YouTube channel that started like in July 2025. It's called the Seo Chef, where I wear like a funny chef hat.
I like that.
Follow me and social media, Andrea Abbondanza, and you can find our company on SEOforrestaurants.com.
Great. That's a wrap. That's the podcast. All right. Thank you for coming on, and
thanks for having me. And hopefully I will come to visit you in the north, and we should get like some good food. So surprise me.
We have good food, and we also have a bunch of SEO conferences now. One in Vilnius and one in Tallinn. Yeah, same guys as the one in Chiang Mai. So maybe you'll come here.
Yeah, I'll be speaking in Vietnam at the SEO Mastery Summit. Matt Singer, the founder, is one of our friends. And so I'm going to be in Vietnam in March. If you want to come and join, more than welcome. We're going to have fun. And we're going to talk about SEO and a lot of nerdy stuff.
Yeah, I wish I'm not going to be able to make it. I was also going to ask you, I don't even know if we finished recording, but it's going anyway, so we'll see. But I was actually going to ask, well, 2 things. Number one, I think, and our friend Carl, right, who's also Italian, which I was supposed to have a meeting with earlier today, but he didn't show up. Anyway, so we've been hanging out in Bangkok for a conference there together. And Carl, who has gluten or this celiac, he goes to this Italian restaurant just behind the Hilton Hotel there where we stay.
Massilia.
And I
know.
It's like one of the best pizzas I think I've had in my life is in that restaurant. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a Napoletana contemporanea. It's a contemporary pizza, but it's a pretty good one. Yeah, I like that.
So
Michele, we say hi to Michele.
So what's your favorite restaurant, or 2, if you give me a couple of your favorite restaurants around the world?
around the world.
Yes.
I would say definitely Cozy. Cozy Restaurant in South Yara. Is the restaurant where my co-host of the dining room stories is a beautiful, like authentic restaurant. And in Italy, that's interesting. I had to think about it. Oh, you know what? The pizza, because I'm from Milano. So one of my favorite is Spontini. It's a chain now, but like Spontini is like kind of like the Sicilian pizza is like taller than the New York. New York is like, really big slices, but it's kind of a little bit fried with oil, and it comes into massive like not piastra, like a iron kind of stamp, I would say, and it's really good. It's so filling, and so probably Spontini is one of my favorites. But yeah, one of them.
All right. And what about pizza? Thin one or thick one?
That's complicated. So do you know that there are at least 5 types of Napoletana pizza?
No.
Napoletana, la classica, a ruota di carro is like like the wheel one. It's gonna be. I like also the Monzese because like I'm from the north. There's like a really tiny with like a thin crust. But like one of the best ones, like so one of the clients that we're working with in Melbourne, Shop to 25, Lorenzo Tron, that we actually interviewed at the podcast. He won the best pizza in Australia. And yeah, it is a really good one. But when you start talking with old pizzaioli, they say it is bullshit, the 48, 72 hours, blah blah. So famous like pizza places in Napoli, like Michele. Michele probably is one of the best pizza in the world. Now you need to wait 2 hours to just get in. I remember like when I was 18, was going to Naples. It was like a normal pizzeria, right? And it is so good. It's like a classic. It's really simple. Like the Italian food is simple. Like tomato, basil, good mozzarella, and you got like the best pizza ever, right? So yeah, I'd say also I love Thai food is one of my favorites kind of cuisines when I'm outside. Yeah, Asia. I love a good pad Thai. I like bibimbap, for example. That must be Korean and Japanese, of course. Japanese, like yeah. So
I love Thai food.
yeah, so good.
Actually, one of my current, I mean, I do love a great steak as well, but I've actually have I also love Georgian food, which is like the country, not the state in America. And very related to that is Armenian food. We have here, not here, we have one restaurant that we work with, that is an Armenian, well, it's an Armenian restaurant, but they have a lot of grill, so a lot of grilled meat, right, on open fire. And behind this restaurant, when you go to the restaurant, it's in this beautiful wooden house, but when you get there, it almost looks like it's on fire because they have this huge oven barbecue grilling thing on the background, and it's constantly smoke, and it's like 150, in summer it's like 200 seats because they have a huge terrace, always full. And it's so, I don't understand how they can get just grilled meat so insanely good. There's all the marinades, but they don't use sugar and all that sweet shit on the barbecue. They use all kinds of spices and herbs, and it's absolutely wonderful.
And I'm so grateful. Like when I moved to Melbourne, I actually tried Sudanese food, Ethiopian food, Korean for the first time, different Indian, northern, southern. Greek is really good in Melbourne. Melbourne is great for food. Eh? So, but the crazy thing is like now also Italy is evolving. We've been like a really close kind of like cuisine style, but now especially cities like Rome and Milan, we got all this different cuisine. But it wasn't the case until 20 years ago. Like 20 years ago, you couldn't find. I remember when they opened the first Korean barbecue just here, the Cinque Giornate, everyone was like, whoa, new restaurant. And I love Korean barbecue. But anyway, I can talk forever, Thomas. If you start getting into the food part.
We need to finish off here. We need to wrap it up. It was great talking to you. And thank you for coming on, and I appreciate you taking the time.